Welcome to the Community Orbit, a candidate forum featuring new Concord Mayoral and East Muskingum School Board candidates for the 2019 election. Community Orbit is brought to you by Orbit Media, the John and Annie Glenn Public Service Fellowship Program, and the Village of New Concord. I'm Nick Fulton, a member of the John and Annie Glenn Public Service Fellowship Program at Muskingum University. Mayoral candidates will be asked a series of questions during the forum. They can respond to each question for up to 1 minute. A possible 30-second rebuttal will be provided if deemed appropriate. Before we get to the questions, let's first meet the candidates for new Concord Mayor, current Mayor Brett Essex, and Councilwoman Jennifer Lyle. Mayor Essex, you now have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
All right, thank you, Nick. Hello, I am Brett Essex, and I currently serve you as a new Concord Mayor. I am 54 years old and proudly call New Concord my home for 45 years. I do consider myself a conservative Christian and a proud 1983 graduate of John Glenn High School. 1982, I started a small business career within the village. 1988, I married my lovely wife, Melissa, and we have celebrated 31 years in the village of New Concord. 1991 through 96, had the privilege to serve as the Board of Trade President, elected to Village Council in 1994. I've served several years prior to the mayor's position as Council President, and currently I hold a leadership role within a $4 billion Ohio-based insurance carrier, and I'm responsible for a budget of $5 million and have 6 direct reports and 43 appraisers. And I feel that gives me the leadership abilities to lead New Concord.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. Councilwoman Lyle, you now have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you to Orbit Media and the John and Annie Glenn Public Service Fellows for hosting this important civic event. Small town politics, that's who we are. Many of us know all the candidates personally. Brett and I have known each other and worked together for many years. But the hard work of democracy means that sometimes you have to throw your hat in the ring even when you like the person you're running against. I entered this race because I have the experience and skills to succeed in this job. But more importantly, I've proven my deep commitment to this village through more than 15 years of ongoing community engagement, well beyond my 6 years in elected office. I'm committed to a vision of New Concord as a vibrant college town with a thriving, beautiful, and fun historic Main Street, and much more. New Concord residents deserve a mayor who's responsive to their concerns so we can truly work together to create the future we want for ourselves and our children.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. We will now transition into our question portion of the evening, beginning with Mayor Brett Essex. Mayor Essex, why do you think you are the best one to serve the community as mayor of New Concord, or continue to serve the community?
Thank you, Nick. I feel that the leadership abilities and the roles that I've had in my what I affectionately call my day career have led me to be a catalyst and be able to work and come to a compromise. It's not, there's always 2 stories or 3 stories. There's the right, the wrong, and somewhere in between. And I feel I have the expertise to work with the stakeholders in this village. I'm always very complimentary of the stakeholders we have, and I picture it as a tripod, just like these cameras are on. We have the Village of New Concord, we have the East Muskingum School Districts, and we do have the Muskingum University. So I echo the sentiments that I want this to be a thriving village, that we have cooperation with our university and our schools. And I feel that one of the studies that we took in 2014 showed that the downtown is a conservative view, the Hill has a liberal view, and I feel I'm a good mix between the two.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. Jennifer Lyle, the same question to you. Why do you think you are the best one to serve the community as mayor of New Concord?
I believe in communication, collaboration, and being responsive. Those are key issues to me, and I think that the only way that we can make progress is through people and building relationships. So I believe that I could say that I'm a voice for everybody, but I'd rather say that I believe that everyone has a voice and deserves to be heard. This is how I would lead as mayor. For example, one of the things that I would do is have designated office hours so people can always speak to the mayor directly. I also believe that quality of life, and that's a generic kind of comment, but is very, very important, including things that people might think are too trivial to even talk about. But I really would like to make sure that we are responsive to all the things that people might come up with, whether it's a trash or a noise issue. And I also believe that I have both the detail and the strategic idea to have the vision we need.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. The second question will first be addressed to Councilwoman Lyle. What do you see as the biggest problem the village is facing, and how do you plan to fix this as mayor?
It's an interesting question. Many communities have one largest problem. I'm not sure I would say that. I think we're fortunate that we do not have one large looming problem. There are always things to work on to be better, and I would be working on those. Certainly some of the larger issues have to do with the businesses in town, the variety of businesses, specifically restaurants, and not enough variety of restaurants. Another large topic has to do with the relationships with stakeholders, not just the university and the school district, but also the large and small businesses. And you asked how I would fix them?
Yes.
By reaching out to people, by building relationships and listening to the people who have something to say on all sides of the issues, and by working on strategies and visions together.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. The same question to you, Mayor Essex. What do you see as the biggest problem the village is facing, and how do you plan to fix this as mayor?
All right. I would echo that. I don't believe we have one large looming. I believe this village has had great leadership in the past, and we stand on that ground. My focus is laying the infrastructure for the need to get those additional restaurants, venues, businesses in town. The one key objective we are missing when you talk to those entities and those that have the development skills and needs, we do not have the core population, and basically we don't have the rooftops for those companies to want to come in and come to Village in New Concord. It's a great village. They love our atmosphere. They love with the university town, the vibe of it, the safety of it. But we've got to build our housing market to bring the other resources here. So I would categorize that as number one.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. I will address the next question first to Mayor Essex. This is a crowdsourced question sourced from Greg from New Concord. Many Ohio college towns our size or even smaller have a vibrant downtown with an attractive nightlife, complete with full-service sit-down restaurants that are open for dinner and that serve beer and wine. Most residents I talk to really want New Concord to feel more like a college town. What are the obstacles to progress on this front, and how do we remove those obstacles?
Okay, very fair question. I've heard this one many times. I think it goes back to that core, what draws that type of business to be able to be profitable and sustainable is going to be the housing market. I believe we can get there, but we've got some other core issues to go. So I know one of the major concerns is the village not being wet. I don't believe that is the holistic problem. Any nighttime venue that would want to come to town has the opportunity to put it on the ballot and take it to the voters. And I feel that is the safest, truest way to make sure that the residents of New Concord get what they want, is they would have that opportunity to vote on each individual resource versus a holistic, make the town wet and let anybody come that wants to.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. Councilwoman Lyle, many Ohio college towns our size or even smaller have a vibrant downtown with an attractive nightlife, complete with full-service sit-down restaurants that are open for dinner and that serve beer and wine. Most residents I talk to really want New Concord to feel more like a college town. What are the obstacles to progress on this front, and how do we remove those obstacles?
I would have to say that the obstacles that I see are slightly different than my colleague has suggested. I believe that we, as a village, working together, can get in front of things and lay the way so that businesses are not left with the burden of solving all the problems themselves. So, for example, I think that there are plenty of businesses that might come in, perhaps not huge franchises, but there are people who start businesses here successfully, specifically with respect to restaurants that serve beer and wine. I believe that we probably need to decide not whether we're going to do it, but what kind of liquor legislation we need that's appropriate for our community to bring in the kind of businesses that we'd like to have and bring that forward so the burden isn't always on the outside party to do it, because that keeps them from even starting the job.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. My next question will also be addressed to Councilwoman Lyle. If elected mayor, how would you integrate your role in serving the community with the community of Muskingum University? Do you believe students at Muskingum should play a larger role in the village government?
Do you mind repeating that question?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
If elected mayor, how would you integrate your role in serving the community with the community of Muskingum University? Do you believe students at Muskingum should play a larger role in the village government?
Those are kind of two questions. I think that the relationship between New Concord, the village, and Muskingum, the university, is absolutely symbiotic. We need each other. If we're not doing well, that gets in the way of the university. And if the university is not doing well, that gets in the way of the village. So we need to be partners. And I believe very strongly in that. Students are the most, they are everything to the university. So I welcome and applaud involvement of students as much as they would like to be involved with the village and finding ways that make sense for both parties to kind of get what they need. So in terms of being involved with government, I'm not sure if you mean students might be running for office. Great, absolutely, run for office, good thing. If we have committees where people can participate or special student-led committees, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. The same question to you, Mayor Essex. If elected mayor or continuing your term as mayor, how would you integrate your role in serving the community with the community of Muskingum University? Do you believe students at Muskingum should play a larger role in village government?
So I too agree that the relationship between the village and the university is pivotal, and we want to enhance that and always continue to grow. I'll use the example, you'll hear the term, we are all like a tree. We're either growing or dying. So I believe that is growth. Something that I participated in last year was with one of the political groups here with the class. They kind of put a charter together to look at a student advisory council to the mayor. So this year, I've been in communications with Will Crawford, the Senate student president, and we are working at putting a group together so that the students would have a voice directly to the mayor. So we are still in planning stages of how that works, and so that the university students have a broad spectrum of groups within their group that can come to the mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Excuse me, I'd like to make an additional comment, if I may.
Yes, you have 30 seconds to
Yeah, I
respond.
believe that class was actually taught by our village administrator, and that became a class project, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. And so I am happy to hear that there is such a thing going on, and I think that is one path to better communication relationships.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. My next question will first be addressed to Mayor Essex. How can you see your term as mayor impacting the level of poverty and hunger in the village?
Okay, I would address that one. Two, it's a project that's in its infancy. We have heard talk that from our police department that they feel that there are some students that might be suffering from hunger, and that may portray them getting in trouble with the law in an instance. We have worked with the director at the local library systems. She feels there are students in town that get left there, and she helps feed them. So a new project that you'll see publicity coming out will be November 7th, will be a poverty workshop, a poverty simulation with United Way hosting that. So everybody will be given a form with X amount of dollars and give us the sensitivity to know how to look for that in our community. Because I don't believe we have the repeating welfare style, but we have working poverty in our community that we need to address.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. The same question to you, Councilwoman Lyle. How can you see your term as mayor impacting the level of poverty and hunger in the village?
I believe that there is poverty and hunger in this village, and a lot of it is swept under the rug, and some of it is on the university campus, and some of it is next door to us on an ongoing basis. It's certainly seen in the school system, and I believe that this takes a village. I think the initiative that the mayor referred to is a wonderful one, and I plan to participate in that. I have also been involved with, I am one of the founding members of a group called Interconnections that is seeking ways to improve relationships throughout our village, and some of the ideas with having perhaps some pop-up food banks on campus, or some in addition to the central food bank that we already have at College Drive Church, are ideas that came up during our interconnections with our Internet Connections group. And I give huge praise to our police chief for bringing some of this to our attention. I think it's really, really important, and I don't have a specific plan, but I certainly would be receptive to it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. This next question will first be addressed to you. How do you plan to preserve the historical aspect of the Village of New Concord while also developing the town?
That's a perfect question. Thank you. I've sat on the design review board, which is for over 10 years now, I think 11 years. And it's very important to me because it also relates directly to the work that I did with the organization called Renew, which was responsible for creating our Main Street Historic District. I'm very, very close to the needs of the kind of charm and other looks and character that we have in the village that draws people into this village. And at the same time, I'm extremely receptive and proactive about wanting to improve our business climate in the village. We have to find balances. We need to find a way that what our needs are in preserving our historic character help enhance what businesses need in order to come in, and vice versa, that businesses would be receptive to wanting to be in a village with this sort of unique character. And we need to find ways to work together so that we don't block each other, but actually help each other.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. Mayor Essex, the same question to you. How do you plan to preserve the historical aspect of the Village of New Concord while also developing the town?
Thank you for the question. Very vital to the survival, the history, the view of what we all love in New Concord. I saw a video that the Muskingum County Foundation put together, and it goes, I believe the premise was, why are we here? And I asked the question, why do you live in New Concord? What keeps us here? And I think the atmosphere is very crucial and vital. So I see it a little bit of a tale of two villages. I'm very much supportive of keeping the historical view we have in our downtown streets. I want to keep the storefronts full, and I want to look at ways to enhance that. I also see that we have entities and property around us that we can develop and put, I would call it the newer vibe in that area. I believe we have a separation of what will be the historical downtown and what will be the enhanced New Concord in our surrounding area.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. This next question will first be addressed to you.
Okay.
What personal or professional aspect do you have that will make you a good addition to the City Council?
So I root that into what comes off sometimes as a soft skill or a soft, I don't push hard, but I push for things that need to be pushed. I feel my listening ability to hear both sides, use a common sense approach to find the middle ground that serves the ultimate end is I just want to portray the trust that you can have in my leadership that we will do what's best for the village, period.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. Councilwoman Lyle, the same question to you. What personal or professional aspect do you have that will make you a good addition to the City Council?
You mean as mayor, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. As I said before, communication is one of my key traits that I believe in and that is part of my skill set. I'm a collaborator, and I also believe in consistent communication. I am very committed to people. I believe in developing the relationships, and part of the way to develop relationships is to be able to be a good listener and really hear what everyone has to say, even when I don't like what I'm hearing, because I learn by listening. And I think that's how we can, by us all listening to each other and really hearing each other, that's the way that we can solve some of the complex problems that we have. One has to also be a decision maker, which I have a long experience of in my managerial history as in corporate world. And I also am very strong about responsiveness. I will always be transparent and respond to people when they've asked me things and get back to people.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. The next question. Yes, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I'll use up my 30 seconds. I didn't use it in the first one. Sorry. I have to add in, I believe, as I mentioned in the opening, my leadership role that I have experienced for the last 7 years gives me those abilities to, the company that I have that leadership role in, we have customer service off the chart, we have customer retention, responsive to needs, to customer service. The customer expectation is everything that I lead every day in my life. So those skills give me what I can translate into the village in New Concord.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. My next question will be addressed to Councilwoman Lyle. How do you plan to increase civic engagement in the village?
I have several ideas, and I firmly believe in civic engagement, and I would like to have more people involved, and there are many ways that people can be involved. People's lives are very, very busy these days, so it's really hard for people to sign on to long-term groups that they used to. One way, and so therefore I think there are multiple paths you need to follow. There might be room for some of the more traditional long-term commissions or civic groups or something like that, but there are also ways that you can make available to people to come in on a short-term basis where they might be for a few months involved with a project and interacting on that, and then cycle off of that and go to something else. But all of this is going to take a lot of communication. We have a lot of communication venues in this town already, and regardless of how many channels get used, there's always some people who haven't heard about something going on. So I think with time and energy and persistence, we will be engaging people and encouraging people to be involved because it's extremely important.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. Mayor Essex, same question to you. How do you plan to increase civic engagement in the village?
That is a very good question, one that I've probably not at the forefront of my thoughts right now, but I believe that we, those standing here, those sitting in this room, have a commitment to their village, the community, and I believe we need to look at new ways and new groups to foster our younger generation to get involved. I will agree right there where Jennifer spoke, the style of groups that are going maybe is not what we need today. So I believe that would be a great focus group to put together with village, university, and the school, and find out what truly people, what would bring them in and be a part of more civic groups and more of our community to enhance their skills. We've got a ton of talent in this village, and we just need to be able to figure out how to utilize it.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. We have now concluded the question portion of our evening. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to close their platform, starting with Councilwoman Lyle.
Oh, excuse me, I thought it was 30 seconds, and that's what I prepared.
30 seconds is also good. We can do 30
Okay.
seconds.
All right. With nearly 3 decades passing since our last contested mayoral election, it's time to inject some enthusiasm into our village governance. I believe we can harness this energy into a thriving downtown where all residents, including Muskingum students, can meet and mingle, shop and eat, work and play. New Concord can, in fact, be a village where all residents feel welcome, safe, and included. It's time for a new vision that supports our longtime values. It's time for action.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lyle. Mayor Essex, now your closing statement.
All right, thank you. I'm going on the platform that I have laid a lot of foundational work in the last 4 years. I do have a vision. I love this community. I support this community, and I am here to work for you. I feel I have a servant's heart, a servant leadership style that will get in there. Can we do things better than we have? Absolutely. I'm here to look for corrections and move us forward. The last 4 years has been heavy lifting. We have sustained a lot of things that were crumbling in infrastructure and decay that a lot of residents don't even realize, but it was for their benefit to go to the future. And I'm asking for 4 more years.
Thank you, Mayor Essex. Thank you to New Concord mayoral candidates Brett Essex and Jennifer Lyle for joining us on the Community Orbit. The Community Orbit airs on Orbit TV and WMCO through Election Day, November 5th. After this break, we'll be joined by the 5 candidates running for East Muskingum School Board. Stay tuned on Orbit Media. This is the Community Orbit.
Thanks for tuning in to the Community Orbit on Orbit TV and WMCO Radio. I'm Olivia Dunlap, a member of the Muskingum University John and Annie Glenn Public Service Fellowship Program. I'm joined by the 5 candidates running for 3 seats for the East Muskingum School Board: Renee Cole, Mike Mathers, Chad Parker, Gail Requart, and Stacy Snyder. Each school board candidate will be given 30 seconds each to answer each question. Candidates will each have the opportunity to answer all questions asked. But first, let's meet the candidates, beginning with Renee Cole.
Hi, I'm Renee Cole. Thank you to Muskingum University's Orbit Media and the John and Annie Glenn Fellowship Program for creating a candidate forum for us to speak. Thank you for tuning in to get to know the candidates as well. I think the next 4 years will be a crucial time for East Muskingum School District to make financial decisions, with the bond issue that we passed in 2001 for the new middle school expiring. I would like to represent you to make smart choices for our children and our community. For more information on me, please feel free to visit my website, www.reneecole.com.
Next, Mike Mathers.
Hi, I'm Mike Mathers, lifelong resident of New Concord, a 1986 graduate of John Glenn High School, and a 1991 graduate of Ohio State University. As your representative on the East Muskingum School Board, I will continue to ensure that all aspects of your child's well-being are being addressed. That includes the physical, emotional, social, and intellectual aspects. And I will make it a priority to ensure all district funds are spent in a fiscally responsible manner that reflects our community values and priorities.
Next, Chad Parker.
My name is Chad Parker. I am a John Glenn graduate, 2001. I am a Muskingum graduate of 2005 with a bachelor's degree in educational administration and mathematics. I taught for 10 years, high school math, and I also was the aspiring administrator of the year in 2009, Jim Mahoney Award, and I'm a local business operator of 20 years and currently doing that, operating 3 local businesses. And I believe the business side allows me to move forward with our development as a community and our school district.
Next, Gail Requart.
Good evening. I'm Gail Requart. I believe my wide range of experiences during 28 years on East Muskingum and 17 on Mideast and Career and Technologies boards makes me the most qualified candidate to provide continuity, historic perspective, and insights into the ongoing critical issues of student achievement in academics, arts, and athletics, student wellness and success for the betterment of social emotional issues, development of the body, mind, and spirit, and character building. Also, fiscal responsibility, which supports the provision of programming, facilities, equipment, transportation, and salary and benefits.
Lastly, Stacy Snyder.
I'd again like to thank Orbit Media and the students for hosting this event. I want to make it clear that I am not running against any of the other candidates at this forum tonight, but instead I'm running for our children and our community. As a past board member, I worked hard to understand my responsibilities, including finances, school policy, and the role of board members. Now that I'm better educated and more confident, I look forward to serving again and focusing on becoming a better voice for the constituents who elected me. I will look towards feedback from parents and community members to make decisions based on their requests and work to be more translucent with board operations. My top priorities include the safety of our students, including strategies for bullying and harassment issues, educating the whole child, including academics, arts, and athletics, and the financial security of our district.
We will now transition into the question portion of our forum, beginning with Renee. Renee, why do you think you are the best one to serve the community as a member of the East Muskingum School Board?
I feel I bring a fresh perspective and some new ideas. I put forth the effort to find out all the information and give the facts. And as I mentioned on my website earlier, if you take a look, you'll find a lot of facts on there about the ideas, the things that I think are the priorities. I will make sure that the constituents understand those facts as well, so that when we're making decisions, we're making them based on fact and for the benefit of all the students within the district.
Next, Mike.
I feel that my job as an investigator for the state of Ohio allows me to have a different perspective on how we look at things. I like to ask a lot of questions And at East Muskingum, we have a bottom-up approach. We have building level teams and district level teams, and we like to get the ideas from the teachers. And I feel that working with our new superintendent that we just hired recently, that we're on the road to new and exciting things, and I'd like to continue working with that superintendent.
Chad?
I believe my experience in both the business world and the educational world has a great impact on our school system. The fiscal responsibility of running a business and growing a business, leading for change, I think we need to push as a district and our children to lead for that change and growth as we move forward.
Gail?
Well, as I've already mentioned, I have many years on the Board of Education for East Muskingum and Mid-East, but I haven't just served on the local level. I've been a part of the region and the state and even participated in national activities. And I think all of these experiences make me better prepared to come back to East Muskingum and benefit the district. I think that we are in a time of evolution, and I want to be a part of it.
Stacy?
I have been involved in education in various capacities. I've been at Mid-East for 20 years. I have been a past school board member. I have been the president of the Muskingum County Literacy Council. I teach adjunct at Muskingum. And so I think that I understand that each student has to have an individual career plan, and we have to work to help them meet their goals, making sure that everyone is heard, all the voices are heard. And being a lifelong member of the East Muskingum community makes me...
Mike, you will be the first one to answer our next question, which is, with a rise in school shootings nationwide, what will you do to ensure the safety of East Muskingum students?
We recently added a school resource officer, Tanner Morton, and on a monthly basis, Tanner does building safety drills with the students and faculty. And on down the road, hopefully, if the money is there, we could add another school resource officer. But it's important that our staff and our students have the training that Mr. Morton can provide to help them if some emergency like that should occur.
Chad?
Yeah, I believe it was one of the biggest mistakes that school systems allowed to happen, I guess, and administrators, is allowing the school resource officers to be removed from schools. I know that happened when I was teaching, and it changed the atmosphere in the school. Just the presence of the deputy sheriff in the school makes a huge difference and creates that environment of safety. It helps to create that environment of safety.
Gail?
Obviously, the resource officer is very important, but also recently East Muskingum received a grant from the Department of Education addressing student wellness and success. Part of that is the safety, but also the education, which helps our students be better prepared, and our staff, because prepared people are safer people.
Stacy?
I think definitely the technology, the cameras on the buses, the resource officers are important, but I think we also need to look foundationally at the students and making sure that they are kind to each other. It sounds minimal, but we need to institute anti-bullying, anti-harassment, not just bullying. Bullying, I think, is overused, and sometimes we overlook problems that are harassment and not acceptable either. And so students need to feel safe in their surroundings and comfortable and included in their surroundings, and I think that helps with safety.
Renee?
Thank you. I agree that the resource officer is wonderful to have within the school system, but I think we need to go back a step further. I think we need to have people within the school system who are a resource for students who are having issues. And that if a teacher notices that a student is off, that something's wrong with that student, that there is someone there who can help address that issue. That's not a teacher's job. We need trained professionals there to help if there's a student who is feeling anxious or down or aggressive, that we can address those issues before they become a problem.
Chad, you will be the first to answer our third question. In May of 2017, a levy was not passed that was proposed in regards to a new athletic system and auditorium for East Muskingum schools. Do you believe that the school systems should still pursue this effort, and why?
I believe that it is crucial to have, obviously, the levy passed at some point. I think there needs to be some more foundational work, groundwork, education to the community as to why that is important. I see progressive districts in the state of Ohio that are pushing those extracurricular activities. That is what the children want. That's what the families want. That's what keeps them in the district. I know when I was teaching at West Muskingum, when they went to a pay-to-play system, it just destroyed the district. And we need to keep that in mind as we move forward.
Gail?
Absolutely. 28 years, I've wished for an auditorium in this district because it's part of that third leg, the academics, the athletics, and the arts. People come to East Muskingum because of the arts. And we want to provide the best facilities, the best instructors, and the best opportunities. And we've got 2 of those 3.
Stacy?
I believe that we need to provide something for everyone, arts, athletics, academics. I also believe that we need to listen to our community, and I don't believe that as a board we should pursue any endeavor without the feedback of the community. That levy didn't pass, so we heard loud and clear that that wasn't the path that they wanted to take. So we obviously need to look at our communication efforts and go back to the community and ask them what they do want and what they would support before we pursue anything differently.
Renee?
I completely agree with Stacy. Our community spoke loud and clear last time. And so we need to go back, as Stacy said, and ask our community what path they would like for us to take. And yes, there are needs on both athletics and for the arts. And so do we pursue those separately? And what's the greater need? Which one do we need first? We need to talk to the community and our staff and find out what our staff feels is the most important need as well.
Mike?
I as well feel that the voters already spoke on this issue. We're currently making upgrades on our own facilities right now. But I do think it's important that on down the road, we keep that avenue open and work with our local stakeholders that if we could bring an auditorium or any other aspect that would enhance our district, that we could try and do that.
Our 4th question is, what changes need to be made to the school curriculum to help students be prepared to face real-world challenges? And Gail, you'll be the first to answer this.
Okay. The curriculum is an ever-changing aspect, and we do have a curriculum director. The central office has kind of changed in its arrangement, and so I think we're doing a really good job of looking at the curriculum. But we also need to look at the entire portrait of our East Muskingum student, and we're working on that to provide what's best in all the areas.
Stacy?
Our academics are strong. There's no question about that. And there's always room for improvement. But my coming from a career and technical education background, I can say that our students need to be college and career ready. We need to have them graduate with soft skills and with real life working skills that they can use and apply whether they go on to college or into the workforce. And we are implementing that right now with our Career Connections class that middle schoolers go through. So they're thinking about career paths and thinking about directions that they need to go in, which is a vital part of the curriculum.
Renee?
I think Career Connections is great, but I also think we need those life skills that we used to have at that level too. And so the basics, I know in government they get some, how to balance a checkbook, but cooking, sewing, how to do some laundry, all of those things are important as well. I think that our high school atmosphere has changed because we have so many kids off taking CP classes up at the various universities surrounding us. And we also have kids taking advantage of the vocational school, which is wonderful. But we need to readdress what we've got going on at the high school so that we're meeting the needs of those students too.
Mike?
The superintendent recently realigned his cabinet, so to speak, and hired a full-time curriculum director. That's the first time that that's happened in quite a while in John Glenn District. And we are always making tweaks to our curriculum to try to provide the students the skills and the knowledge that they're going to need to work in this ever-changing atmosphere that we're in.
Chad?
I agree with Renee. We need to graduate children that are ready for the world. That currently, and it's not just, it's an epidemic problem across America, I believe that we're graduating kids that really have no idea what life is about and what they're going to do when they get out. I see it all the time as a local business owner. I get these kids come to me. They have no idea where they're going with their life. They have very minimal basic life skills, and we need to prepare those kids.
Stacy, How do you plan to increase awareness of and access to various services to low-income families in the school district?
I think communication is definitely the key with that. Even impoverished families often have resources they can use at home or outside of school. So I think communication, being active on Facebook with things that are available, live streaming board meetings so that they know what's available in the school and updates on the school, being out in the schools, being active in the schools as teachers, making sure that things come home, especially in the younger levels, because that's when backpacks still make it through the door and get opened by parents.
Renee?
I think communication is also key, and finding different ways to communicate. And so we talk about Facebook, we talk about social media, but again, at that younger level, especially sending papers home that parents can read, because not everybody has access to those resources. Communicating with our community as well. And so the district newsletter that we've been putting out, our annual calendar, all those are ways of reaching people who might know of a child who has that issue that we can help them.
Mike?
Each year at the kindergarten orientation, new students and parents are advised of the free and reduced lunch. We send those forms home with the parents. And I think it's imperative that we work with local churches and help identify families that might be in need and refer those families to local services that they might benefit from.
Chad?
Obviously, communication. We need to get as much information, but I don't think that comes from pushing papers at them. I think that comes from use of technology. I mean, that person, they use technology. They use Facebook. They use YouTube. We can push all kinds of resources to our students, our families that is helpful. Tutoring through Facebook or through YouTube resources. You can find all kinds of videos for those kids.
Gail?
I think we need to bring the families into the school. And we've started this through our title program. We have a night when the families, the parents that have the needs come into the district, and the whole family comes in and we feed them. So bringing the people into the schools and talking to them one-on-one or family to family, we're going to learn their needs.
Renee, what do you see as the top 3 strengths / things to be proud of in the East Muskingum School District?
I think it's a wonderful place. I think it's a safe place with high academics. So safe is the biggest thing as a parent, and high academics. That's what I'm looking for my children as well. And I think it's just a place where you can see your child grow. That potential is there. We have so many local resources to take advantage of as well, with the students at Muskingum coming in and being able to help and getting more education for our teachers there.
Mike?
The 3 things that we look at John Glenn: academics, arts, and athletics. Our kids excel at all of those programs, and we see that every weekend, every night, every choir practice. We have a lot to be proud of in this district in those 3 areas.
Chad?
Number 1 is safety. You got to provide and we are providing a very safe environment. I think that's countywide and even in the state, we've got one of the top safe environments for kids to learn, so they're comfortable. Of course, just our and expanding our educational prowess as a district is definitely one as well. We just need to continue the good things that are going on and move forward with those.
Gail?
I would have to say the arts, the academics, and the athletics also, but the community support and appreciation of these are just a blessing to us.
Stacy?
I would say that we educate the whole child, the arts, academics, and athletics, first of all. Second of all, that we are a safe district that students feel comfortable coming to. And third of all, the philosophy that it takes a village. We are the village of New Concord. We have so many supportive people at the university, at the district level, and in the community in general. The fact that we have 5 excellent candidates sitting here running for 3 seats on the school board says that we're a great district to be a part of.
Mike, what changes do you see yourself making as an East Muskingum school board member that would benefit the education our students are receiving?
Well, I think it's important to listen to our staff. Mrs. Reckard and I are both on the district leadership team, And that enables us to hear the ideas and thoughts of our teachers and administrators on how they think we can improve our test scores, our state report card, the lives of our students.
Chad?
We have to push for change. If we're not changing, if we're not growing, we're dying. It's a statement that I've grown a business by. Always push for that change. So we need to look for ways to push, and that comes from communication with the administration, with the teachers, with the staff, and with families to figure out what that change should be, but we need to push for it.
Gail?
We live in an ever-changing global society, and we would be foolish to think that we can just rest on our laurels. So we need to be studying, evolving, changing, learning, and I think that we continue to do that as East Muskingum. Go out and see what's happening in other districts, in other states, bring that information home, and continue to grow.
Stacy?
I think more board transparency is key. If we're transparent, that holds us more accountable, and that forces us to be more receptive to the feedback that we get from parents and community members. When I was on the board, developed a Facebook page to keep the community informed about things that were happening at the board meetings. Recently, I did a survey that on my Facebook page for a re-election that indicated that the community is very interested in live streaming of the board meetings so that they can stay on top of what's going on at the district level.
Renee?
There are three things that I would like to improve upon. First of all, we do a lot of great things. That's why I'm raising my kids here. My husband and I chose this for a reason. I would like to see a gifted program, something that is going to enhance the education of those kiddos who are bright and need that extra challenge. I would like to see some more preschool resources, and whether that goes through the district, through MVESC, through a Head Start program, we need more preschool resources at East Muskingum. And then I would also like to see the high school curriculum adjusted based on the fact that we have so many kids being off-site.
Chad? Many of the after-school programs in the area are full and have wait lists. How do you plan to combat this growing need for high-quality after-school childcare for K through 5?
After-school childcare, I know this just having my children. Luckily, we're able to accommodate them at our local business now, but it's a challenge. My wife handles a lot of that, and I appreciate that. And we need to look for different latchkey types programs. I know when I was a kid, I grew up in a latchkey program that was vital to growth. They made me do the homework, and it was cheap for my parents, or maybe not free, but cheap. So I think we need to look at programs like that.
Gail?
As I mentioned, we did receive a grant for student wellness and success, and a part of that is providing those kinds of activities and just looking around to see what is within the community who may want to come into the school, which we already have one church doing that, and just to take a look around and see what we might be able to provide. But this gives us the opportunity with some funding.
Stacy?
I would say, again, looking to the community before we do anything to see what they feel the needs are. Do they feel we need programs? Where do they feel we need the programs? What fits their budgets? And then moving on to research. So without having done the research and spoken to the community about what the needs are and what's available and what we can financially accommodate in our district, it's tough to say, but I would definitely say that I would be open to doing that research and the footwork and talking to the community and finding out what's available that we could utilize in our district.
Renee?
I think this kind of goes along with the preschool information that I talked about, and the lack of preschools available within the New Concord area. If you go further to Pike or Perry, there are a lot more options. And so I think you find the same thing with those latchkey programs and a lack of availability. Even when there is a program, they can only fit so many kids. So I do think there's a need. Now, I do think, as Stacy said, we should go back and talk to the community and maybe see if there are resources within the community where a local business, such as a preschool, would be willing to expand to accommodate.
Mike?
We need to further clarify what we can use our student wellness funds for. If this is an avenue that we could use this to keep kids in our buildings so they're safe, they're fed, and they're well cared for, and time for their parents to pick them up later. This is a hot topic for parents in our area because there is not a lot of options for kids after school.
We have now concluded the question portion of our forum. Each candidate will now have 30 seconds to close their platform, starting with Renee Cole.
Again, thank you to our hosts and Muskingum University for having us tonight. We really appreciate it. I hope that you learned some information to help you make your decision as you go to the polls and vote. I promise to be a dedicated member of the board to serve our children and our community. I encourage you to visit my website, www.reneecole.com, for more information or to be able to reach out to me directly with specific questions. I humbly ask for your support to please vote for Renee Cole on November 5th. Mike.
It has been a privilege to serve on the East Muskingum School Board. I hope that the voters feel that I've done a good job in the 4 years that I've been here, and that they send me back to help protect the state, protect the funds of the district, to make sure that they're spent in a responsible manner that is reflective of our community values and priorities.
Chad.
As Stacy said earlier, I believe that having 5 good candidates for your Board of Education is just something amazing. I know in my experience in the educational field, it's not always that way, and districts aren't always that blessed. So we are gifted to have good people that want to serve in our district, and we need to use that. And if I'm that person for you as a voter, then I'll be happy to serve as a board member on East Muskingum School District.
Gail.
It's vital to ask what is best for our students. I feel the optimum learning experience includes the assurance of being safe and secure, the provision for development of the body, mind, and spirit, the knowledge of being valued and respected as a person, access to excellent educators, facilities, and technology, the introduction and appreciation of the arts and athletics, and the promise of hope for the future.
And finally, Stacy.
As a board member, I will respect each student as an individual learner with a focus on career planning and lifelong learning. With 20 years of experience in education, I value all levels and types of education and know students need to be college and career ready. As a parent, I guarantee that I will prioritize the safety, education, and the best interest of all children. Children are the center of every decision I make, including campaigning. Voters might notice that they've not seen any yard signs or campaign materials from me, as I've decided instead to make a donation to the district with the money I would have spent.
That's all the time we have for the Community Orbit. Thank you to the new Concord Mayor and the Muskingum School Board candidates for joining us on the program. The Community Orbit airs daily on Orbit TV News, New Concord Cable Channel 1020, and on WMCO 90.7. Through Election Day, November 5th. For Nick Fulton, I'm Olivia Dunlap. Thanks for tuning in to the Community Orbit.